This is a question that agitates the debates. Who is the best player in the world right now? In view of his recent performances, French international and Paris Saint-Germain star Kylian Mbappe does look like the best player on the planet right now. And on the eve of the knockout round of the Champions League between Real Madrid and PSG, Mauricio Pochettino was invited to speak on this subject during the traditional pre-match press conference. The PSG tactician gave a rather guarded response, but it is clear that he also sees the World Cup winner as the best player on the planet. So how did Mbappe replace Messi as the best on the planet? We'll tell you all about it in just a bit. Meanwhile, Kepa Arrizabalaga is all set to leave Chelsea this summer. The Spain international has struggled for game time in the last 2 years and is linked with the move to the Italian Serie A. Romelu Lukaku's return to Stamford Bridge hasn't really worked out that well, and we'll tell you why he's had to settle for a place on the Chelsea bench. We've found a list of 3 players that Barcelona are eager to get rid of this summer. Before we get started, we want to share the sponsor of today's video. The OneFootball app is the ultimate football platform and is a must-have for every football fan, so that you can follow all of your favourite leagues, teams and players all the time right from your phone. You can be sure to turn on notifications for specific players to be instantly alerted when they score a goal or when they're involved in other breaking news. It is the best and easiest way to stay up to date with everything football. Click the link in the description down below to download the app right now. You won't regret it. Already in the starting blocks for the next transfer window, FC Barcelona absolutely want to part ways with several senior team players before June 30th. Barcelona are already preparing for tomorrow. Launched in a marathon season between La Liga and the Europa League, the Catalan giants are working on the next transfer market, as we can see day after day in the media. If the Camp Nou residents still dream of getting their hands on Erling Braut Haaland, whom Xavi met in Germany, they also want to recruit players at zero cost. All out of contract, Andreas Christensen, Cesar Azpilicueta from Chelsea, and Noussair Mazraoui from Ajax are targeted. These cases are also progressing very well, according to Mundo Deportivo, who explained that Barca will also have to offload certain players before June 30th in order to balance their accounts and make room. 2 players are in the crosshairs of the Blaugrana, who hope to raise €50 million due to their market value. First, we find Clément Lenglet. At 26, he's the one with the best market value according to Mundo Deportivo. The France international, who is not in Xavi's plans, is of interest to several teams. Tottenham were already seduced this winter, as were Newcastle. The Magpies would always be and would not hesitate to cough up the Euros to convince the Spanish outfit, who are also willing to sell Serginho Dest. Already approached by Monaco, the American under contract until 2025 has a good market value and will be sold for a decent amount. Finally, Barca could also ease the pressure on their wage bill by finally getting rid of a player they've been trying to get rid of for a long time, Philippe Coutinho. Arriving through the front door for €120 million in January 2018, the Brazilian was a flop. Currently on loan without a compulsory purchase option at Aston Villa, Coutinho could well stay there. The Brazilian has 3 goals and 3 assists in 7 appearances under Steven Gerrard, and Gerrard is also eager to have him stick around for a long time. But the problem is that the villains have to pay €40 million for the move. More than that, the player needs to lower his wage demands, which we sense that he will. Chelsea goalkeeper since 2018, Kepa Arrizabalaga has now been a substitute for more than a year and a half, and the arrival of Edouard Mendy at the London club hasn't helped matters. The Spanish goalkeeper, who's a graduate of Athletic Bilbao, has played 15 matches this season nevertheless, and took advantage of the presence of the Senegalese goalkeeper at the African Cup of Nations. Thus, his situation is not very reassuring, and his former coach, Maurizio Sarri, could take advantage of it. The Italian coach, who is at Lazio, would welcome the signing of a new goalkeeper, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport. Currently, the Roman club has 2 goalkeepers, with Pepe Reina and Thomas Strakosha, and they are both nearing the end of their contracts at the end of the season. Beyond this contractual aspect, no one has really impressed over time. Recently, it was Strakosha who regained his starting spot in goal for the Biancocelesti. Kepa Arrizabalaga would be seen as a real possibility, but his arrival on loan will depend on Chelsea's willingness to pay part of the player's salary, which is €7 million a year. Sergio Rico of PSG, Pierluigi Golini and Marco Carnesecchi of Atalanta are also seen as viable options. At a time when Chelsea are going through a serious institutional crisis marked by the recent announcement of the sale of Roman Abramovich's club, In the crosshairs of public opinion and the English state because of his links with the Kremlin, the dazzling performance of Kai Havertz on Saturday afternoon against Burnley therefore logically appeared as a real breath of fresh air for Thomas Tuchel and his staff. Long held in check by the Clarets, the Blues, carried to the finish line by the double of their 22-year-old German forward, finally provided the essentials to forget, for a few hours, the club's worries off the pitch. Third in the Premier League with a 5-point lead over Arsenal, with a game in hand, Chelsea can confidently prepare for a schedule that promises to be overloaded. With 4 matches to come in the space of 9 short days that will see them travel to Norwich on March 10th, receive Newcastle on March 13th, travel to Lille for the knockout stages of the Champions League on March 16th, and a trip to Middlesbrough in the quarter-final of the FA Cup on March 19th, the Blues will need all of their forces present to survive. With this in mind, the return to form of Kai Havertz comes at the best time for the entire club. Or almost. Relegated to the bench against Burnley, where he did not play a single minute, Romelu Lukaku is in a conundrum. The former Man United man was signed for €113 million, and after a perfect start to the season, no longer meets expectations. He's been living an ordeal since his media outburst last December. He has apologised since then, but on the field he hasn't made up for it. Havertz has been decisive every time given the chance, and when Lukaku is given a chance, he hasn't taken it. Performances put on by the young German are obviously going to make it difficult for the Belgian to grab the starting role once again, and if we're being honest, the striker has a long way to go. Thomas Tuchel loves Havertz's work rate and high intensity. More than that, the former PSG man demands his players to adapt to varying systems, something that Lukaku has been unable to do. But with games coming thick and fast, there has to be a few games where the Belgian international will be given a chance. Whether he manages to make good use of these is another matter. Following PSG's shock 1-0 defeat to OGC Nice, the Azure club's manager Christophe Galtier's statement summed up the Ligue 1 giants perfectly. The former Lille boss said that PSG are a completely different side with and without Kylian Mbappe. And in that league encounter, PSG were missing their star man. In fact, the Parisians have won just one of the 3 league games this season where Mbappe was missing. When Mbappe's been around, they've won 18 games. So to cut a long story short, Mbappe is the glue that binds the club together. If there's a get-out-of-jail-free card in football, Mbappe is PSG's. It's quite amusing if you ask us that a club which boasts the likes of Neymar and Lionel Messi, 2 proven performers, relies so much on one player. If it was some other team, it would make sense, but at Parc des Princes it doesn't. In fact, it even speaks volumes of the mentality of the players. During the first leg of the Champions League round of 16 clash, it was Mbappe who rescued his teammates when such a scenario shouldn't have been possible in the first place. Pochettino's men dominated Real Madrid, but won the tie 1-0. Lionel Messi missed from the spot and Mbappe scored a late winner. At the age of 23, Mbappe is carrying a team that he shares with a player who has 7 Ballon d'Or awards to his name. Messi arrived in France as one of the best players on the planet, if not the best. The Argentine has struggled even though he's been given a platform to shine brighter than he did for Barcelona in his last 2 seasons. But once again, it was Mbappe who took the initiative and became a leader on the pitch. The best players have a tendency to show their class when it matters the most, and at PSG, Mbappe seems to be doing it quite regularly to the point that it's become boring. At Parc des Princes, Mbappe has no equal, even though his career has only just begun. Teaming up with fading forces, the World Cup winner is carrying his team this season. If that's not what the best player on the planet does, then we don't really know what does.